must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid.
Away with your weapon. I mean you no harm.
Kill him. Kill him now.
Do it.
You failed your majesty. I am a Jedi, like my father was.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Shooting the Sith, a subsidiary, a sister show to that of Bridging the Geekdoms, part of the Bridging the Geekdoms YouTube channel. How is it going, everybody? So, Star Wars Theory has lost his damn mind. I mean, honestly, like, truly think about this for a second. This man has been going on and on for the better part of what? I don't know, 3-4 years, just complaining about every little bit about Star Wars that he could possibly think of and complain about constantly. So maybe, just maybe, he has truly lost his mind, right? Well, let's take a look. There was a really interesting Twitter thread that popped up earlier, or late last week, I should say. And I wanted to talk about this because I thought it was interesting. So Darth Thunder over on Twitter made a tweet that says, "You wake up to find you are now the owner of Lucasfilm. What's the first thing you would do?" Well, Star Wars Theory decided to write an entire book, I guess. And we're going to go through some of this because I think in a way, a lot of people are like, "You've lost your mind, Star Wars Theory." And while I agree that over the last few years, he has been a little nuts when it comes to Star Wars. But let's take a look what he has to say here. So the first thing he says is, Kathleen Kennedy let go. Lucasfilm Limited Story Group filtered. Disney influence gone. Meet with George and Dave. George, being George Lucas, lists all projects he wants to see made now. Movies, shows, and games. Give him priority of all creative decisions. Then Dave. Essentially, he gets all the power if he wants it. So, and then he says George sits in any board meetings if he wants. So that's what we're going to start with right there. Kathy Kennedy let go. I think that is absolutely something that needs to be done when it comes to Lucasfilm. I think she has failed the fandom being the head of Lucasfilm. I get that she's had some hits come out underneath of her. Rogue One, The Force Awakens, The Mandalorian, Rebels, what have you. Yes, there's absolutely been some hits. But Star Wars is a property that should really be hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. The story is there. There is no reason that fans should be upset with what has been coming out. And there's no reason that the fandom should be as divided as it has become. The Lucasfilm Limited Story Group filtered. I'm not really sure what he means about that. If he's talking about the Star Wars Story Group, if he feels like he needs to get rid of some of the people there, as well as the Disney influence gone. I think he's talking about the wokeness that has popped up, not just in Star Wars, but across Hollywood as a whole. And Disney has played a big part in that. And I think that's kind of what Star Wars Theory is going with here. And I got to say, I'm not against that. I think we have to push all of that out of our films, of our entertainment, because it doesn't need to be there. So yeah, I'm down with that. Meet with George and Dave. Obviously, Dave being Dave Filoni and George being George Lucas. I get that. I understand. George Lucas is the mastermind. He is the father of all things Star Wars. And if George wants to come back and have some say and have some input on what is going on with Star Wars, if he wants to sit behind the director's chair, absolutely. But here's the thing. Before you do that, Mr. Star Wars Theory, you need to get somebody who is truly in charge of Star Wars. There needs to be one man, one person who is running the Star Wars brand. Could it be George Lucas? Why the hell not? If George Lucas wants to do it, bring him on in. Let him do it for a few years. If it wants to be Dave Filoni, go for it. But then he wants George to list all the projects he wants to see made now, movies, shows, and games. I don't know about that. I think that, yes, we should take some input from George, but I don't think he needs to be the be-all, end-all unless he's running Star Wars IP. I think taking some of his ideas, running with them if they sound good, but I think the idea is we need to expand on Star Wars, and we got to allow different voices to come in. I think that would be very important. Give him priority of all creative decisions, and then Dave Filoni. Essentially, he gets all the power if he wants it. And like I said, you need to have that one person in charge of Star Wars. If George wants it, sure. But then Dave, again, maybe Dave Filoni doesn't want that. If he does. But I don't think that there should be a 1 and 2 in charge. I think you need to have one person in charge. That person is the one who says yes or no to the creative decisions made with Star Wars. That's it. Not Lucasfilm as a whole, but Star Wars. Yes, you need a head of Lucasfilm also, but there needs to be a head of Star Wars. He then goes on to say he wants all canceled Star Wars games released. What is it? Battlefront 4, Battlefront 4, 1313 Maul, Young Boba Fett. Look, those games are old, and I can tell you they're probably all outdated at this point. I think it would be taking steps backwards to release them. If they're good stories, if Maul and 1313 have good stories, maybe find another way to bring them out. Maybe take the stories and adapt them and have a new studio take over and create a brand new game from the ground up. Or maybe put them out in a different medium, an animated form, comic book, what have you. Trilogy between episodes 6 and 7, full deep fake, Han, Luke, Leia, Heir to the Empire, maybe. Well, I don't think they can do Heir to the Empire at this point, seeing what they're doing with The Mandalorian. I don't mind the deep fake, but personally, I think that they should recast. That's the one thing that's been curious and I don't understand with Star Wars is they recast Han Solo, but not Luke and Leia. The problems that people had with Solo weren't Alden Ehrenreich. It weren't that they recast. It just, for a lot of people, it just was an unnecessary film. They didn't know that they should see it. They didn't think they had to see it. That was the problem with Solo. And at this point, Leia, recast her. Luke, recast him. There's no reason not to. No reason not to. Structure next 10 years properly. Yeah, again, I think they've done that at this point. They have 10 years. I think they have an idea of what they want to do at this point. But you go back to 2012, 2013, 2014, I don't think they knew what they were doing at all. They were just throwing darts at a wall. Oh, look, it landed on Boba Fett. Let's make a Boba Fett movie. Ah, crap, Josh Tranko. He screwed up with Fantastic Four. We can't use him now. Oh, let's do that. Oh, Lord Miller, no good. Okay, like they had no idea what they were doing. They need to have an outline of films, take a look at what directors would be good fits, and approach them. While you do that, approach other filmmakers and see if anything that you have lined up or planned might excite them that they might want to come in and handle. A young Palpatine movie of his youth and rise to power, a Plagueis novel, or based off like the Plagueis novel. Again, there's a big complaint within the Star Wars fandom that they're focusing, and there's still too much focus on the Skywalker saga characters. And while I agree that we need to not forget that era, we need to not forget those characters and continue building that legacy, a lot of what you're saying here is sticking to that, and I think that's a problem. He wants to move away from Disney Marvel back to Dark Horse for the comics. Again, the comics aren't really canon. They say, oh, they're canon, but if it came to a movie and they're like, we want to do this and it contradicts the comic, they're just going to do it in the movie anyways, and they're not going to care about what happens in the comic. So when it comes to the comics, I don't care about that. Bring back Star Wars fan film festivals, contests. The fans are everything. 100% agree. Ever since Disney took over, you can tell that when it comes to fan films and things like that, it's just become too damn hard for them to do anything. And I think they need to allow that again. Episodes 10 through 12 announced, which ignores Disney sequels and makes George sequel trilogy with Maul. Well, you can't do that now, because if you bring Maul back, you're then removing his death from Rebels at this point. And I don't think we can bring him back from the dead again. I just don't think we can. I don't think people will appreciate that or buy it at this point. But I'm not against the idea of doing George's sequel trilogy. I just don't think we should ignore 7, 8, and 9. I think we just would have to adapt to make those films with that current cast and what has happened beforehand. Clone Wars spinoff with Ahsoka and Rex after season 7. I guess it could be cool. Favreau gets hired just under Filoni again. He's got this hierarchy going on, and he's putting too many cooks in the kitchen. Again, you need to have that one person that leads the way, that is showcasing and saying, look, this is what needs done. This is how it gets done. So I think he needs to back off with that. Nick Gillard is the stunt master coordinator for all projects. Again, yes, no. I mean, that's no big deal. Vader movie 1 year after Revenge of the Sith. Again, yeah, no. I mean, you were sticking too much with the Skywalker saga. Tons of games and books. You can't oversaturate. That's a problem. You don't want to oversaturate. Old Republic saga of films, 3 minimum. Absolutely. We've been wanting that. And I think this Dawn of the Jedi film, this new movie by James Mangold, I think this is going to be the start of us moving towards the Old Republic. And I think that is the idea. I think they're going back 25,000 years. They're going to do this, and then they're going to move into the Old Republic, which I'm A-okay with. Trilogy then set 500 years after Episode 12. Skywalkers are dead, completely new and fresh, Dune style. Force users are a must, but also magic and Vong type threat. Lucas decides final say. I agree to a point. I don't ever think that you can have the Skywalkers dead. I think if you're going to do a trilogy set 500 years in the future and you're going to focus on the Jedi, there needs to be influence of the Skywalkers in some form or fashion. The legacy of Luke and Rey, the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, all of those I think need to play into what Star Wars is, especially if you are going to do a focus of some sort on Jedi. A Bane trilogy into movies. Again, that'd be great, but you're going to go, if you're going from the Dawn of the Jedi to the Old Republic, you can absolutely then eventually get to Bane. Son of Dathomir. A CW show? I don't know what that's all about. Boba Fett show redone. I think that they could do a season 2 and get him back to where he was, personally. Mandalorian show continues, but with less cooks in the kitchen. Favreau has full control. Again, you're sitting here, I want the Mandalorian show to have fewer people involved, but overall Star Wars, we need to have 15 people involved. Like, that is a problem there. A new Knights of the Old Republic game? Sure. Why not? Why the hell not? All old Star Wars games get redone, remastered? No. The problem with video gaming today, I was a huge video gamer. I still play and dabble here and there. There's so many remasters coming out, and I don't have, I've played it already. I don't want to play it again. I can see it for some of the big games, if they want to remaster Knights of the Old Republic, if they want to remaster Potter Racer, Shadows of the Empire, some of the bigger Star Wars games, sure, but they don't need to make them all. The fans are always respected online by Lucasfilm employees. The fans come first. Jar Jar cartoon gets made for kids. I don't see why that hasn't happened yet. Honestly, I don't know. Tons of media for youth. I agree. And Disney's done that to a certain extent, but their forces female crap, it's just been too much of an agenda that they've been pushing, which is Star Wars is for everyone. The Force is not female or male. It's for everyone. 100% agree with you, man. 100% agree. And then George Lucas writes all his terms for Lucasfilm, like a declaration of charter for the rights that can never be crossed or breached. This way, when he, Dave, and myself, I guess thinks he's going to be running Lucasfilm. Oh, that's right. He's the head of Lucasfilm. That's right. The owner. Passed on into the Force. Lucasfilm's future will be safe as long as the charter is upheld. Give Filoni the keys and walk away. Lucasfilm stays an independent company forever. Has he lost his mind? What do you think? I want to know what you think. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. And there's a lot of people who are coming at him for this. And I don't understand fully why, because here we go. Wait, you paid for this. A lot of your tweet was just undoing what Disney did, which is not to say everything they did was right, but not everything was wrong either. I doubt Lucas would give well creative input at his age. This is the coolest. Nope, that's ad. Before any of that, you would need another production company to bankroll all of that. Would you cancel any current projects? Nope, just leave it all where it's at. Get rid of 7 and 9. It's irredeemable. It's already fan fiction. It will be Heir to the Empire, 7 to 9, then 10 is 12, as George outlines. Most of your ideas are solid. I don't think he's off base here. I don't. I think this is all pretty straightforward and smart. For the most part, there's some things that I think he would have to redo. But this is an interesting question. And I want to bring it out to all of you. What would you do if you were in charge of Lucasfilm, and more specifically Star Wars? What would you do? How would you fix Star Wars and bring it back to the glory that it once had? So let me know all your thoughts and comments, because I'd love to hear them. With all that said, guys, I will talk to all of you later, and may the Force be with you.